Once you have your shapes complete and you're happy with them, the next step is to turn them into a design, and this design will eventually become your pattern. So what I want to do is first, we have our shapes created. So this is an ice cream cone, this is an ice pop, and I'm going to group these together. And the reason I'm going to do that is because later it will help us when we're trying to duplicate the shapes, because this is really 3 shapes even though it's one object. So I'm going to bring my mouse over the whole thing, and then I'm going to hit Command or Control G, and that groups them together. And I'm going to do that again for this shape, Command or Control G, and that will group them together. Now we can move the whole shape as a unit. If you want, you can still edit individual parts by using the direct selection tool that lets you select one part of it. Now I just want to show you it's still part of the group, so it will still move. I'm going to hit Command or Control Z to undo that. You can also get into the group by double clicking it, and that will let you move individual parts. Let's go back. Okay. The first thing we want to do is on a separate layer, I'm going to delete this just to show you how to do it again, we can make another layer, and I'm going to make a box. I'm going to make a 3x3 box, and instead of drawing a box out like that because it's hard to get the exact dimensions, I'm going to click while having the rectangle tool selected, and I'm going to type in 3x3, hit OK. Now we have a 3x3 box. I'm going to switch this so it's outlined instead of filled. This box is not really going to be used later, it's just so that way we can get a general idea of our shapes. And now I'm going to lock this layer so that way we aren't bothered by it. Our artwork is on layer 1 and the box is on layer 2. Now I'm going to move my artwork into this box, and I'm going to position it around. These shapes are a little bit big for a 3x3 box, so I'm going to resize them by dragging over to select the whole thing and then holding down Shift to constrain the proportions. And I can now duplicate my shapes, and that will get me this. Now I can align these just to make sure that they're aligned properly. See, they weren't. I'm going to undo that again just to show you. I didn't duplicate them and then put them in exactly the right place, so instead I'm going to use the Align tool to just have it shift. That aligned it to the center of the objects. There we go, and now that's aligned. Now I can select all of them and duplicate it again. And again. Now these probably aren't perfectly aligned either, so I'm going to align it now horizontally. And instead of dragging, you can also select multiple things at once by clicking one of them, and then holding down Shift and clicking another, and then holding Shift and clicking another, and doing that again. Okay. Now you see that it does go outside of my box. That's fine. This box is really just a guideline for our shapes. And this is our design. Before you actually turn this into a pattern, it's definitely worth looking into what background color you want to do, because once you have the pattern, it's going to be harder to change things. So make sure once you have your pattern that you're okay with what it looks with the colors that are being used. So I'm going to now move layer 2 underneath layer 1 so that way I can use this box for a background color. And I'm going to try, let's see what orange looks like as a background color. I think that looks pretty bad, just because the orange and the yellow don't look very good together. So let's try green, except I have the stroke in front, so it's not changing. Let's try green. We can maybe try this. That's not so bad. I can also try this light purple. I quite like that. But, you know, the idea is that I'm just trying different values right now to see what's going to look the best. Nothing's really changing. I'm not sure why. There we go. You know what's nice about having this darker value with these bright colors is that they really pop. On this light background, I mean, you just have different, it's just a different vibe. This is more happy, but here, now the colors really pop a lot more. So I would probably either go with this green or this light purple. Either way, once you have your design set up, you are ready to go on to the pattern. Now, your designs don't have to be as, as meticulous or as, aligned as this one is right here. You could do something more haphazard. I'm going to do another example. We can try with this bagel right here that I have on top that I've saved and set aside. So I just clicked again. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to flip it so that way my box is outlined but not filled. I'm going to lock this layer again. And now for this bagel, what I want to do is just duplicate it and have it in kind of random places. I can also maybe try making some of them smaller and different sizes. And, this is definitely an option that you can do. I have a pretty organized mind, so I like having pretty even grids, but there's no reason that your things need to be even grids. But even if you're not doing an even grid, it's still good to have things well spaced and to think of how the design is filling the space. So this is a little bit more haphazard and less, I guess, less grid-like, but it is still designed. Now we would try making a background for this kind of pattern. I think that this has kind of a hole over here that needs to be filled. And now we would just go into here. This is already grouped. I can go in to pick my brown color. And now the color guide switches according to the color that's selected. I can go out and I can try finding a background color that will work on this. I don't think that these are the right colors for a bagel theme. So I'm going to go to maybe, I think complementary, that'll probably be nice, and do something with a nice blue background. So anyway, lots of options for how you can create your designs. You can use multiple shapes to create a grid, or one shape to create a haphazard thing. You can create one shape. You can use, this is what I did for the sprinkles. I did a bunch of lines over and over again in a kind of haphazard way and changed the colors. The idea is that you just want it to be able to fit nicely into this box, and that will create a good pattern.